Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the season premiere of the final season of Glee, Season 6, Episode 1, Loser Like Me. Now, I know what you guys are saying. I know we were all not looking forward to this episode whatsoever. We thought it was going to be terrible. We thought that it was not going to work. I mean, I did a whole rant on all the spoilers and how stupid it was going to be, and how much it wasn't going to work, and how it wasn't going to work at all, and how I really wasn't looking forward to it. I gotta be honest, I really was not looking forward to it. However, as they started to show the promos and things like that, and I listened to the songs, I started to be more into the show. And I gotta say that this premiere was amazing. I loved it. And honestly, it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. What I thought this premiere was going to do is it was going to take out all of the, realisticness of what they did last season, where them being in New York and everything. I thought that's what they were going to do, is that it was no longer going to be a realistic show. They were going to change all that, but no, they didn't do that. And honestly, it did not let me down, and I'm so happy it didn't. I loved this premiere. I honestly think it might be the best premiere Glee has done, but it was so dark and so different, I think, from anything Glee has ever done. Probably just, it was completely dark, really, and let's just get to it, because I really want to talk about it. So, by the way, guys, episode 2 is going on right now, but I'm going to review it once I'm going to watch it once I'm done with this review. So I'm reviewing both episodes individually. So the first few minutes, I gotta say, is some of the best acting we have seen from Rachel on the show. Basically, we see Lee Paulblatt. He's in this car. We don't know what's going to happen. Rachel is being interviewed by this publicist who's talking to her, and basically he's reading the reviews. The reviews are not good at all for, Rachel's pilot, That's So Rachel. They're not good at all. Lee Paulblatt comes in, and he tells her that, unfortunately, he has been fired. And he has been fired, and it's not going well at all. And you can just see Rachel's eyes. And I love that there was no score to this scene, because I love that they did that. That's one of the things I love that they did when they focused on New York, is that they didn't have as much music, background music to it. And, she's now in LA. She's not in New York. She's in LA because, of course, she went to LA in the season finale, which seems like it was, so long ago. It really does. But basically, you can see the look on her face. She's so upset this happened to her. And he basically tells her all the wrong things. She'll never be able to do TV again and things like that. And, I mean, the person in the review said that she's very good on TV, but she's just not good in the show. And I guess, it's probably because Rachel wrote it. Because if you remember, she said that she would write the show, and you can't be great at everything. But I gotta say, I thought this was amazingly handled, because Rachel's always gotten everything that she has asked for. Everything. Think about it. She quit NIADA. She was on Broadway, left Broadway with a warning, and now was on a TV show, and now it's finally not worked out for her. And I gotta say, I love seeing this from Rachel, because I gotta admit, they turned in Rachel into a diva last season. They really did. They turned into this stuck-up diva who cared about fame, and just, it really was annoying, and it did get very annoying. But this was the Rachel we need to see, because Rachel goes into a completely vulnerable state. She sings this song Uninvited, and I love the line that Rachel says when Lee Paulblatt leaves. He says, "You can always go back home," and she says, "I don't even know where that is anymore." And when she said that line, I honestly felt really bad for her, and her performance in that song Uninvited was amazing. I thought she did a great job with that. Just amazing, amazing stuff there. Loved it, and it was really, really sad just to see Rachel lose everything she's wanted. I mean, she really did it to herself. You knew this was going to happen to her. You knew that something bad was going to happen to Rachel. You knew that I knew this TV show was not going to go well for her. It was all happening too fast. I just knew it wasn't going to go well. I didn't want to think it wasn't going to, but it didn't go well at all. So she's now returning to Broadway, because she knows that that's done. She knows that, Sydney would be pissed at her and everything, and everyone's going to hate her now. Everyone pretty much just makes fun of her now. So she goes to her house. She goes back to her house, and when she went back into her room, I felt so bad for her, because you can see all the pictures of the stuff that's there. There's like a funny girl playbill there. She's moved back into Ohio, and you see, you then see Leroy, who we haven't seen her dad, Leroy, in a very long time. Of course, she's wondering where Hiram is. She's like, "Where's Dad?" And we find out that Leroy and Hiram are actually getting divorced. And it doesn't surprise me, really. It doesn't. I mean, they were constantly arguing. They didn't seem to have a very good relationship. It doesn't surprise me that they're getting divorced. They didn't expand too much on it. But I think really what it's trying to show is that really Rachel, there's so much bad stuff going on for her. And Loser Like Me really was perfect title for this episode because Rachel really was the loser in this episode. Not only was she the loser, everyone in this episode really is a sort of a loser. But we'll talk about why. So, of course, she goes back there, and then she goes to the Lima Bean. She goes back over there, and Figgins is now working there, which I thought was cool to see. But, of course, he's saying, oh, look, it's Rachel Berry, and then she's there with Blaine, and Blaine's doing whatever he can to basically help her out. But things have not gone well for Blaine either. And, again, when I was reading the spoilers for this, I was not looking forward to the storyline, but I gotta say, they handled it very, very well and really pulled it off very well as well. Blaine has now basically, because of what happened, when Kurt and him moved back into the apartment, they argued a lot, and, it didn't get better between them. They ended up breaking up, and Blaine is now, his grades started to slip, and he kind of got very depressed, he lost focus, and he was cut from NIADA. Now, a lot of people are saying that's not possible, but they can do that. Colleges will always cut you. They really don't give, I've heard this before, and I'm going to say this to you guys, colleges don't really give a shit about you. You're just a number to them, really. And even though Blaine was, on a big star, and think of where Blaine was last season. He was a big star on a big, he was on this big, road to stardom, and it all completely crashed for him, and it's so sad to see, but it's very realistic. It really does make sense. Kurt really was the biggest thing in his life, the thing that mattered to him the most, so it does really make sense why that happened, and I really felt bad for Blaine because of that. So Blaine's doing whatever he can to help out Rachel, pick her up off her feet, and, he feels so bad and everything. Now he coaches the Warblers. He's now the coach of the Warblers. And Rachel's surprised because, he needs a college degree, but he says no because he's just a coach. There's nothing else he needs to do. And, it really does make sense why he's coach of the Warblers because that's where he all started this from, is with the Warblers. And the Warblers are really like his family. Yes, the Glee Club was his family, but now that he's no longer part of that, I think really the Warblers are part of his family. A lot of people are probably saying, why didn't Blaine go back? I think it's because the Warblers are more family to him because he's been with them longer. That's really what it is. He's been with them longer. He knows them more. They've always relied on him, and that's why he's always cared about, the Warblers always had his back. They helped him plan out that whole wedding proposal and everything. So it really does make sense while Blaine wants to go back to the Warblers and captain there. So he can see that Rachel's really upset, but he tells her that they're going to make, and I love this scene, he tells her they're going to make lemons out of lemonade, and they sing probably my favorite song of the episode, Suddenly Seymour. I absolutely love this duet. I know that Darren Criss sang half of it live, and I gotta say, amazing stuff. Can't wait to see. And it really made me think that after Glee's over, I really want to see Lea Michele and Darren Criss go back onto Broadway, and I want to see them do a show together. They are great together. And the other thing I love is that a lot of this episode really is confrontation. Someone confronting Rachel. Rachel confronting someone. Rachel having a conversation with someone. That's a lot of this episode, but it really worked very well in my opinion. I really didn't have too many problems with that at all. So they don't know what they're going to do, but they know that life, she knows that life is going to look up for her, and I thought that was very well done. So then we see Sue. And I was very, very not looking forward to seeing Sue, because Sue just can sometimes be too much. But here's the thing with Sue. You kind of have to suspend your disbelief with it, and if you do, I gotta say, Jane Lynch is still pulling it off. That monologue she had in the beginning stole the show. Really, she was great. She didn't have me laughing, but still, I didn't lose focus. I actually liked it. The thing with the hounds was a little bit silly. She's basically turned McKinley High School into a prison, basically. It's all athletes. There's no art. She's cut all the art. She's basically gotten everything she's wanted from day one. She even kicked out Marley, Jake, Ryder, but she kept Kitty because she's on the Cheerios, and Unique. Those are the only people, she got rid of all them, so that way the Glee Club can never happen again, and the reason she got Will to go to Vocal Adrenaline is so he could not try to bring back the Glee Club. And I definitely feel she does genuinely care for Will, but this is what she's always wanted. She's always wanted to cut the arts. And I do kind of understand her point of view on why she wants to cut the arts. It does make sense. That's always been her thing. So we can't just say that they have made her like more and more evil as it goes on. But this is what she's always wanted. So to see her be so happy about it, it definitely makes sense why that happened. And but then you see Rachel, and this was just awesome. I love this part. Rachel has this look on her face, and she's like, no, 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 no. This is not going to happen. You are not going to have this happen. I'm not going to let the school be this way. And she wants to do something about it, and that was just amazing to watch. So then we get Kurt's little monologue, and Kurt's monologue was very, very sad. He's the only person that's still at NIADA, because, Rachel quit NIADA, and Blaine was cut from NIADA. So Kurt's now the only one at NIADA, and he's doing pretty well, actually. He's in a positive attitude and everything, and he's now speed dating. He went on Tinder and is speed dating all these different people, and you can see that things are sort of looking up for him, sort of not. You don't really know what's going on there. So that's basically what happens there, and we'll get more to Kurt in a second, but Blaine takes Rachel over to the Warblers. They perform a song for her, sort of to pick her up off her feet and get her to feel better. And I just love that Blaine was doing whatever he can to make Rachel feel better. It really was great to see. And the song they sing, it's not the best song the Warblers has done, but it was a lot of fun to watch. It was a fun performance. I enjoyed it, and I thought it was overall really good. Not my favorite song in the episode. We'll get to my favorite song in the episode, but I thought Sing was very, very good. And, Rachel's really happy. It's the best she's ever felt in a very long time. She's having fun with them, and it really makes her determined to try to fix this Glee Club. That's what she wants to do, is bring back the Glee Club. That's basically what her main mission is here. That's what she wants to do. So that's basically what she wants to do there. So we then see that she goes from Blaine to Sam. It really helped her out a lot. Now, Sam, we see, is now the assistant coach for Coach Beast on the football team. Now, it does make sense, because, of course, we saw Sam go back to McKinley. We saw him look into that computer room, and I thought Sam was going to be the one to reboot, the Glee Club. But, of course, he's not the one to do that, because it makes sense why. Sam never was, like, he was best friends with Finn, but if anyone were to restart the Glee Club and bring it back, it would be Rachel. So I don't think Sam was the right person to do it. So I'm happy he didn't. We do get introduced to a new character. His name is Spencer. He is a gay football player, and I actually really like his character. He's very funny at points. He's a lot of fun. They joke around with him a lot. He jokes around at him being gay, which I actually like. I don't think they've ever had a character like that actually jokes around about being gay. And I gotta say, I really like that. I like that they're kind of joking around about it. I find it very, very interesting. I don't think Glee's done that before, but I like that. It's a different kind of character, and I definitely like his character. And Sam talks about how he can't yell at them because of that, but he again is also trying to help out Rachel. That's the only scene we really see of Sam in this episode. Well, we do see one other thing of him, but we'll get to that. But basically, that's what's going on with Sam. And then we get probably the most heartbreaking scene of the episode. Well, actually, no. Then we go. Rachel goes to Sue. Sue's there, basically. And Sue, the second that she's there, is not happy to see Rachel, obviously. Because, of course, Rachel ruined that relationship between Sue and... I can't remember his name now, but that guy that Sue was with in opening night, she had, like, a fling with... she's still pretty bitter at Rachel for that. So I actually forgot about that, and it makes sense why Sue is upset with Rachel, because Rachel ruined that for her. So it does make sense why that happened. But basically, Sue wants nothing to do with Rachel. She tells her, you're never going to bring back the Glee Club. There's nothing you can do about it. But Rachel is determined to. Sue goes so far as to threaten her that her assistant, because now Becky's not there. She no longer has a secretary. So she now has an actual, girl from prison. And she threatens Rachel that the girl has a shiv, and Rachel doesn't feel any harm at all. And this is the Rachel I love. I love seeing this side of Rachel. I love seeing this side of Rachel, that nothing's going to get in her way. The side that nothing's going to get in her way. She's not going to let anything stop her, and I love that. I love seeing that side of Rachel in this episode. It was amazing to watch. Just one of my favorite parts of the episode by far. Loved it. Then we get probably the saddest scene of the episode by far. I thought the scene was very, very sad. We actually see what happened between Kurt and Blaine. We see a flashback of that. Now, here's what I have to say about that. Yes, it did seem kind of silly that, they break up, they get back together. They break up, they get back together. But compared to when they broke up last time, it was because Blaine cheated on Kurt. The most generic thing ever. what they broke up over this time was very realistic, and I actually applaud Glee for that. That's one of the things, as I said, I love that the New York storyline did. It really made the show a lot more mature and realistic, which makes sense because their lives are going to be more mature. So I like that the reason that Kurt and Blaine broke up is simply because they couldn't stand each other anymore, and they realized that they were going too fast with things, and it really does make sense. It did seem like they were approaching things too fast. It did seem like they were moving the marriage too fast. I mean, Blaine was talking to Kurt about how he was thinking they were going to get married on Labor Day, and, you know, Kurt's yelling at him, saying they had a 3-hour fight over, I believe, like, hair condition, like, hair gel or something, that Kurt put on, and I mean, it was funny what they were saying, and I like that, but it really was very realistic. You know, Kurt basically says that he doesn't even know if he can do this anymore, and he tells Blaine that he thinks they should just end it, and you can see the look on Blaine's face. He's like, I will never forgive you for this. He's pissed at Kurt, and I felt so bad for Blaine in that scene. However, we then cut back to Kurt, and we see that this guy he's with is a fortune teller, and the guy he's with, you know, well, he thinks he's a fortune teller, but the guy he's with can tell that he is not over Blaine, and you see Kurt in that diner all alone, and he's crying hysterically. He's realizing he made a terrible mistake, and he wants Blaine back. That's what he wants. He wants Blaine to come back, and he definitely wants to do something about that. So then we see Will. As I said, a lot of this episode is Rachel confronting people, which I think is fine. A lot of people said that it felt very much just like an intro to the season. Really, it did. It didn't feel like a regular series premiere. It definitely felt like something new, and I actually like that because this is the final season. I like they did that, definitely. Especially because the show is a lot more mature now. I like that they went this new direction, because when they said that they were bringing back the whole Glee Club storyline, I'm like, I don't know about this, but they're handling it very well. I have to say, they're handling it tremendously, really. So Rachel goes to Will. We saw this very cute scene with Will and Daniel, you know, the baby, when he's talking to his son Danny about all the things that he's done, how happy he is as a man, how great it is to have a son. I mean, I don't really like Will's character, but I really liked him in this episode. I didn't have too much of a problem with him. We see the accomplishment that Will has done now with vocal adrenaline, and Rachel's kind of surprised that he didn't try to fight for getting the new directions back, but he said he didn't want to fight anymore. You know, now he had a child, and the pay at Carmel was $5, was like $5 more than what was the pay at McKinley. So I understand that. I understand that Will wants to move on to something. He always seemed very much into vocal adrenaline, so it doesn't surprise me that he wants to, you know, that he's now the captain of vocal adrenaline. It makes sense now. So he gives Rachel this advice. You know, Rachel she's really letting this TV show get to her, and he can tell, and he tries to give her really good advice, but she still seems pretty upset. So what they decide to do, and this is probably the funniest scene in the episode. I thought this was hilarious. Blaine, Sam, and Will decide to give Rachel, they stage an intervention, they make her watch her TV show, That's So Rachel. And the TV show was awful. It was completely awful. It's complete trash. It's nothing I'd ever watch. I can completely understand why it got canceled. Basically, Rachel just made it into a huge comedy and everything, and she's not a good writer at all. But I actually thought it was very, very fun. It was very funny at points to watch their reactions. And they're really trying to show Rachel that it's one TV show. Don't let it get her down. And this really boosts Rachel, and I definitely really enjoyed this. I love where this took Rachel. You know, she is very upset she's very upset, but then she realizes, you know what, it's not as big as a deal as she thinks it is. And this really does make her feel better by having them by her side. So she decides to go to the superintendent of McKinley, and this was just awesome. She tells the superintendent that she wants to give him he's saying they don't have enough money, even though he wants to bring back the Glee Club, they don't have enough money. But she says she's going to give him all of her TV money just to bring back the Glee Club. And he's shocked at this and everything, but she said that she wants to do it, so he goes along with it. He gives her, he lets her do it, and basically she's determined now. But then she sees Kurt crying on the bed, and Kurt talks to her about everything that happened, how he was chasing after Blaine, but Blaine didn't want to chase after him. And really, the thing is, again, you have to feel bad for Kurt. What I love is that you feel equally bad for Kurt and Blaine. Before, you just felt bad for Blaine, but now you feel equally as bad for Kurt because he's realizing he made the biggest mistake of his life. He told Rachel that he really does care about Blaine. Blaine is his true love. Blaine's who he cares about, and he realizes he made a big mistake. Only problem is that Blaine is now with Dave Karofsky because Kurt goes to a bar hoping that he sees Blaine, the gay bar, and he sees Blaine there. And there's Karofsky. Now, Blaine has now gone together with Dave Karofsky, and I don't think I can think of a bigger betrayal than doing that. Yes, Dave Karofsky is a good guy now, and I mean, they're not mean to Kurt, but it makes sense, definitely, why this happened. Because, they forgave each other, and they kind of understood. I mean, Dave had feelings for Kurt, and Blaine was with Kurt, so it definitely makes sense why that happened. At least it wasn't Sebastian. I'm going to say that. If it would have been Sebastian, I would have been really pissed off. But I can understand Dave. They definitely did have some sort of connection. I don't like them together. I don't want them together. But I do like seeing Dave Karofsky back on this show. The fact they call each other Yogi Bear and Boo Boo is so stupid. But it's also very, very funny at the same time. And it actually, I think it's really funny. So that whole thing happened, and I felt so bad for Kurt because of that, but, that happened. So, Kurt is now going to run the New Directions with Rachel. They're going to work on it together. Basically, Kurt's going to be the co-captain, and basically they're gonna make, like, a collab sort of thing. And when Sue finds out about this, she is enraged, and she is probably the biggest insult she's ever given on this show, and I gotta say, awesome scene from Jane Lynch. She killed it in this scene. This was just awesome to watch. She's insulting them so much, telling them that this is never going to work. You have no idea what you're doing. And it was so funny to watch. And I think Jane Lynch just did such a great job in that scene. So like I was saying before, it really did work very well. I thought it was probably one of her funniest scenes. Definitely really enjoyed that. I thought it was very, very funny to watch. I definitely really enjoyed them. Sue saying that to them, I thought was very funny. So basically after this, what's happened is that, we see, as I said, Sue's insulting him and everything, telling him this isn't going to work, and that whole thing happened with Kurt now. So Rachel now goes back to, she decides that, she goes to work on this. She's now putting up stuff, and, she's told that she's going to run the New Directions, and Will talks to her, tells her that he thinks this is a great idea for her, and I love that they mentioned Finn, because you knew they had to mention Finn. That's really why this is happening, is because of Finn. That's really why. I mean, that's why, because Finn would have done this, and Will even says, I think Finn would have been the perfect choice for this, and I like that what Rachel says to him. She tells him this is only temporary, she's not going to use forever, she's only doing it to bring back the Glee Club, and she's hoping to go back to Broadway, which I hope works out for her, because I love seeing the side of Rachel. She's so determined, she wants to make this happen, and it's gonna happen. That's how Rachel works. If she wants it to be done, it's gonna get done. And I love that about Rachel. That's what I love about Rachel. That's really why she's my favorite character in the long run, I have to say. She is fantastic this season. She's very well written. I have to say, I love that about her character. So she's so determined to get this done and everything. And basically, she wants to do whatever she can to bring back, the Glee Club. You see her singing Let It Go, and it was the best scene of the entire episode because it brings back the Rachel that we all loved in seasons 1 to 3. She has that look on her face when she puts up the list. She's like, the cold never bothered me anyway, and it was awesome to watch, and just that was amazing. I loved seeing that. And that was the perfect way to end this amazing episode. I was so surprised by how much I loved this premiere. I thought this premiere was going to suck. I'm going to be honest. I thought it was going to suck. I did not think this was going to be a good premiere at all. And everything that I was worried about ended up being very, very good, and I don't know what I was worrying about because everything ended up being very, very good, and everything was handled very, very well, and I'm surprised by how well it was handled, but every scene really worked, and one of the things I love about the season is how mature and dark it is. It's a very darker tone. It's not really the lighthearted show that it used to be. It's not really a fun show anymore. Yes, the That's Our Rachel scene was very funny. That was definitely very funny to watch, but besides that, there really wasn't any comedy to this episode, which I like seeing. The Blaine Kurt stuff is is very realistically handled. Blaine going to Dave, as I said, does make sense. We didn't think it was going to, but it really does make sense when Blaine talks about why it happened. And the other thing I like is that, as I said, you're feeling more for Blaine and Kurt. You're feeling empathy for you're feeling sympathy for the both of them, which I definitely really like seeing. I thought that was very well done. And the other thing about the season is I can't wait to see where Rachel goes this. I know that Kurt and Blaine, I know they're not going to be in this position forever. They're going to get back together eventually. They just have to. They are the it couple of the show. They're the thing that people love the most about the show. If you don't like this episode, I can understand why, but honestly, guys, I think this is going to be the most focused season. They are so focused this season. It does feel like a final season. That was something I was worried about. I didn't feel it was going to feel like a final season, and it feels so much like a final season, and I love that. It feels so much like a final season. I'm so into this season already. I honestly feel this is going to be the best season. It honestly does feel like a different show. Definitely has a very different tone, and I actually really enjoy that. But that's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. Again, I can understand if you didn't like it, but I think they're in a great direction. And I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for the second episode of the season premiere. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.